January 18th. Pullman. Washington travels to meet Washington State. Todd McCullough's bucket, 17 seconds left, and the Huskies had a 2-point lead. One last shot for the Cougars. 31 points for Isaac Fontaine, but that would be it. And the Huskies would escape with a 2-point win. Tonight in Seattle, the rematch. Pavilion, usually filled with purple. You might find a little crimson and gray in there tonight, because tonight it's Washington State. It's Washington. Need I say more? Hi everyone, Rich Waltz along with Dave Harshman. It was at this point last year, Washington was 14-6. They had 7 games left. Everyone was talking NCAA tournament. They didn't get it done. They lost 5 of those 7. They cannot afford to do that again this year, especially against Washington State.
The difference this year is that they play 5 of the last 7 at home, and who better to start it with than your cross-state rival?
And Washington State's had a tough year, but they feel tonight could be an upset. Heck, they lost by only 2 in Pullman.
Lost by 2 without Carlos Daniels, who's their main man inside. It's got to be their main man tonight.
Yeah, main men tonight for both their teams. Certainly Isaac Fontaine, the guy you want to talk about. Last 4 games, 25 points a game. Washington will be depending on this man, Mark Sanford. It's Washington, it's Washington State, it's Fontaine, it's Sanford. It should be a lot of fun. They expect a full house on hand tonight. Washington and Washington State. The Huskies coming in at 13-7. The Cougars at 11-12. Let's meet the Cougars and the Huskies.
Basketball fans, welcome to the University of Washington and Heck Edmondson Pavilion for tonight's Pac-10 conference game between the Washington State Cougars and the Washington Huskies. Let's meet tonight's starting lineups. First for the visiting Cougars of Washington State. Starting at forward, a 6'7" junior from Louisville, Colorado, number 21, Carlos Daniel. At the other forward, a 6'7" senior from Orem, Utah, number 34, Cameron Johnson. The 3 guards for Washington State. First, a 6'7" junior from Madrid, Spain, number 14, Rodrigo de la Fuente. Also at guard, a 6'3" senior from Oakland, California, number 20, Kareem Jackson. And completing the starting 5 at guard, a 6'4" senior from Sacramento, California, number 22, Isaac Fontaine. Now the starting 5 for your Washington Huskies. Starting in forward, a 6'9" junior from Dallas, Texas, number 3, Mark Sanford. Starting at center for the Huskies, a 7-foot sophomore from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, number 50, Todd McCullough. The 3 guards for Washington. First, a 5'10" junior from Elizabeth, New Jersey, number 5, Jan Wooten. Also at guard, a 6'4" sophomore from Kirkland, Washington, number 13, Donald Watts. And completing the starting 5 at guard, a 6'4" senior from Portageville, Missouri, number 23, Jamie Booker. Now fans, let's play Husky basketball.
All right, you saw Kevin Eastman, you see Bob Bender. These 2 coaches know each other well, the Huskies and the Cougars. Top of the chalkboard, first for the Washington Huskies, and it certainly has been a weakness all year long for the Cougars. Without a guy in the middle, they want to get the ball, Washington does, into McCullough.
Oh, Todd McCullough, 7 foot 280 or somewhere in that range. Great hands, can score inside, shooting over 70% from the floor. You got to establish him right off the bat.
Defensively, it's the old axiom, you can't stop him, you just hope to contain him. Isaac Fontaine, how do you defend him?
Well, I think you defend him with what I call a man and a half. You play the man on him, and anytime he puts the ball on the floor, you got to run another man at him. so that every shot he takes, there's a hand in his face.
Washington State, Carlos Daniel did not play the first time these two teams met. What does that mean?
Well, that could actually be a plus for the Cougars, because even though the Huskies know about him not playing against him, they may not really know how to stop. He's got to be effective for the Cougars in the middle.
Washington State second best in shooting the three. They would like to force Washington to shoot the three tonight.
Well, Washington hasn't shot the ball very well from the three-point range, although last year, 10 for 13 for three-point range. If they do that again tonight against the Cougars, it'll be a long night.
Lineups tonight, Washington would like to get into Washington State's bench, which is rather thin. And you look and see who's on Isaac Fontaine right now. Jamie Booker, one of the better defenders in the conference, but no one's been able to stop Fontaine so far this year.
Fontaine's going to get his points. Jamie Booker is a guy who I am just impressed with because he's gotten better every year. Maybe one of the best defensive players in the league.
Series history, 242 meetings between the two schools. Washington has the lead overall. The Cougars, of course, beaten on their home floor. The last time they were swept by the Huskies, 1990. Nice touch pass from Sanford. Donald Watts inside, can't score it. McCullough the rebound, missed the putback. Booker the offensive rebound. And Washington State can ill afford to let Washington have their way on the offensive boards.
Well, McCullough is so big, you got to get a body on him, and hopefully he'll come over your back and draw a foul from him.
Cameron Johnson, a backdoor cut. Fontaine. And of course, Kareem Jackson running the point, working against Jan Wooten. This is Johnson. Daniel trying to make his presence felt. Drew some contact, no whistle. And Washington with the basketball. Sanford.
Mark Sanford hurt the Cougars in Poland by simply outrunning the inside people to the other end for easy baskets.
McCullough, another offensive rebound. Daniel has this one, and he's fouled by McCullough.
Well, two things on that play. Both times Todd McCullough shot the ball short because he didn't get what you call a good base to shoot the ball. He does a very good job of keeping the ball up high, but there's a shot, it comes out high. Yes, he gets banged, but he doesn't do a good job of keep getting the ball in a power position, and then he commits the foul over the back.
Richie Ballesteros, Jerry White, Mark Ayala are the officials tonight. Jackson working against Wooten. De La Fuente put it on the floor, lost it. Daniel got it back. Booker took it away. The career leader in steals. Hello, Jamie. Welcome to our broadcast location.
You all right?
Harsh, give him a hand up there. Jamie Booker came crashing over here. And he's all right. We're all right.
A little wet here.
That's right.
Little.
Jackson with the ball. 2-0. Washington on top. Harsh, get Harsh a towel, will you? Fontaine, nice pass to De La Fuente for the layup.
Cougars showing good patience offensively, and that's what they've got to do or they're going to have problems.
Just like you.
This is the first
Sanford
of the year.
His 18-footer went 20. McCullough stolen away. De La Fuente. Fontaine taken right back by Sanford. Booker, McCullough. Oh, lob to the big guy.
Well, it's nice. He doesn't jump very well, but he gets a running start there, and it's a great job by Jamie Booker to the ball, perfect position right in front of the rim.
Well, McCullough has both buckets for Washington. Johnson, give to Jackson. Daniel's wide open. He's missed 2 layups. He'll get a third. And he missed that one, too. Watts on the move. Boy, a lot of bodies hit the deck. 3 of them down. Kevin Eastman wants him to run. Booker with another steal.
And Watts is
hurt. And Booker goes down. This is nuts.
And Kevin Eastman wants him to go, but I tell you, there's a lot of people limping out here right now.
Johnson's baseline shot. The Cougars are cold early on and are having trouble hanging on to the basketball. And the Huskies,
and Bob Bender's
right
saying,
now,
how come there can't be a call down at that end? There's so much contact.
Well, I think Kevin Eastman has just as much gripe on the other end. The concern for Washington right now is with Donald Watts. Who in that 3-car pileup under the bucket went down hard. Dion Luton checking in. Here's a look at the lob to Todd McCullough.
Nice look right there by Jamie Booker. See, McCullough, when he gets a running start, he can get off the ground.
There's Donald Watts, Luton in the ball game. He can be explosive with the ball right now. Booker, and he's fouled. Johnson got it.
Well, it's a good foul by Cameron Johnson. You know, I don't know if you mentioned, I mean, so many things have happened thus far, but Cameron Johnson playing with the flu, weakened, but he comes back. This is good. He goes for the basket, for the ball, draws the foul. You got to make him go to the line and make the fouls.
It's one of the areas that McCullough has improved on, is passing the basketball. Here's Booker. There is not a coach in the Pac-10 conference that wouldn't want to have 5 of these guys on their team. Jamie Booker is the type of guy that does a lot of little things. He's the best defender on this Washington team. Bob Bender has seen him really grow in his 4 years here.
Career scoring leader. He's a guy that, when I said when he came in, he was an athlete playing basketball. Now he's made himself into a basketball player. Career steals leader. I'd have to check the stats. I think he leads the Huskies in assists this year. He's just doing a heck of a job, and he is the total team leader.
3 minutes in, 6-2 Washington. You know, Ike Fontaine hasn't really had a good look at the bucket yet. Washington very active defensively. The Cougars have got to get the ball in Fontaine's hand.
Washington defensively really wants to put a lot of pressure on the wings, and the Cougars need to bring people up to the wing and then backdoor them. Try to get some easy backdoor cuts.
Jackson. Johnson lost his dribble. Fontaine finally gets a touch. See what I mean? They've got to get him the ball.
Well, what happened that time, though, is Jamie Booker got caught playing on the side of him. You got to get in front of Isaac Fontaine, because he gets you on the side, he's going to score on you.
He is one of the strongest scorers you'll find.
Daniel playing behind McCullough, which I think is smart, because you got to cut him off the boards.
Washington being very deliberate right now. Shot clock at 12. Down to 5. Got to get a shot off, and Wooten will do it. To the front to the rebound, and here comes Jackson. Sore knee and all. Daniel over Sanford.
Very effective in there. You get the ball that low in the paint, you're not going to stop too many people at this level.
Daniel leads the Pac-10 conference with 8 double-doubles this year. That's a stat that Mark Hendrickson, the former Cougar, used to own. Washington really has grown stagnant offensively.
Well, they're being patient, but the problem is they're not, with their patience, they're not really doing anything. And that's not a bad move right there by Mark Sanford, as we say that, to take and put the ball on the floor under control, but draws the foul.
Cameron Johnson will pick up his 2nd personal foul. Timeout on the floor. Washington State. It was close in Pullman in early January, and it's close early on. We're tied at 6. 5 minutes in. Washington State and Washington. The crowd kind of pensive right now, Harsh. They're just kind of watching and seeing how this thing is going to develop. Good matchup in low. I mean, Carlos Daniel is really a power forward, and he's going against a pretty good center in Todd McCullough.
Yeah, like a couple boxers, a couple heavyweights trying to feel each other out right now. The Huskies only 2 for 10. A lot of that has to do with Todd McCullough 2 for 5 real early.
Washington State 3 of 8 from the field.
Good job, Steve.
Blake Pengelly has checked in for Washington State. He'll be at the point guard spot. Jamie Booker's 18-footer is good.
You know, the crowd is almost a little polite. Polite applause after that score. There's not the electricity in the air that you think there would be at this ball game.
That's what I meant. I mean, it's a real strange feeling right now. And what looks like a rather full house. Fontaine in a crowd walked with the ball before the shot.
Well, the ball hit him and then was free in the air, and he caught the ball and went up and shot it. I don't know how that's tried, because he didn't come down with the ball before he released the shot.
A break for Washington.
Just a thought.
Yeah, well, a good thought. Sanford dribbling and turning it over. Both teams a little tight right now. You know, both of these schools went through a tough week. Washington State And Kevin Eastman traveled just across the border to Moscow, Idaho, and got beat by Curtin Davis and the Idaho Vandals. Bob Bender saw Mr. Huggins and those Bearcats come in and have their way with the Huskies here on Monday night.
Yeah, I felt that the Huskies, you know, they're not going to play like they did against Cincinnati. Cincinnati was a great ball club. They really came after it. But you'd think when you're playing your cross-state rival, you wouldn't have to give any big speeches or anything. Slotemaker making a great drive, just slicing through there. Looked like somebody going off tackle with the left hand.
Steve Slotemaker, the sophomore out of Oregon, Aloha, Oregon.
He's really improved this year. Needs strength to get better.
Luton, he could hit the three. He missed that one. McCullough with an offensive rebound and a putback.
Well, you know what? Carlos Daniels stood and watched the whole thing that time, and Todd McCullough just went and nobody attempted to get in front of him and cut him off the board.
Fontaine with another travel.
Hey, gotta be active, keep moving, keep
And
moving.
Isaac, you know, Kevin Eastman was talking about Isaac Fontaine in the season he's going through right now. Tremendous year scoring the ball, 21.5 points per game. They're your turnovers. But a lot of the things that he's done away from the games has really impressed Eastman. He said that Fontaine is the same guy, win or lose, in a situation where, I mean, Isaac Fontaine is used to success at Washington State.
Yeah.
He's had it his first 3 years.
Well, he comes in, he was what, I think the 4A player of the year in California, and he's lived up to the billing every year and gotten better every year.
Fontaine missed that one, might have forced it. And here comes Booker with Luton. Little jump stop and a foul on Fontaine. And Isaac can't believe that one.
Well, from our angle, clearly there was space in between there. It could have been if he wanted to call an offensive foul, but he got away from it. You can't see from this angle, but Ike jumps away.
There's no contact.
Actually,
there.
Luton does stick the left arm out there.
And that's where the contact was. From our angle, we could see it pretty clearly.
Fouls 4-1 now on the Cougars. This guy right here could be a pretty good player. Deion Luton. He's got a lot of physical skills, and he can really stroke the ball at the three-point range. It was unfair because he had that 22-point night the very first night against BYU and hasn't coached that since. Which you got to realize BYU is really down this year, and you're playing in the Pac-10 as a freshman. To be playing is pretty good.
Jan Wooten, and he fouls Blake Pengelly. Pengelly really has come on.
Well, you look at the arms on him.
Yeah,
the arms of Blake Pengelly. He only weighs, they list him at 159 pounds. He must have 100 of it in his upper body strength.
Chris Thompson in to check him down. So a matchup of little point guards in Pengelly and Thompson. Pengelly's a guy that many people thought would end up at Oregon. Slotemaker, not that time.
Not a good decision. And of course the Cougars are missing Bo Archibald too, who's home with the flu, didn't even travel.
Luton is wide open.
You can't leave him. You know, that's one thing that's always amazed me is Kevin Eastman says we got to have a 20-second timeout. What's always amazed me is how you can't know where the shooters are. When you run down the floor, you find two things: your man and the ball, and always know where you always, no matter who you are checking on the floor, know who the shooter is. So if there's a shooter, you better get to him right away.
Yeah, De La Fuente had the decision to make, though, Dave. Does he go in and check McCullough, or does he go outside? You could see he went inside to double-team McCullough, and that loosened Luton up.
I think what you got to do, he makes a mistake, to stay with your man until the ball goes inside, then go double, because, see, Carlos Daniels was close enough to get there to take the play away from McCullough.
Fox Sports News every night, 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock now. They'll bring it to you, NHL, NBA, college hoops, and of course baseball. Spring training is underway. Sounds strange, but it's reality.
And the unit is not quite what we thought it would be yet.
9-2 run by Washington. You saw it there, 7-point lead now.
And this Daniels opening the baseline cut.
Fontaine.
See, wherever Fontaine goes, people are all over him.
Sanford gives it to Booker, and he's fouled by Pengelly. Jamie goes to the line.
Nice touch pass by Mark Sanford. You know, I want to say this about Mark Sanford. I'm one of the guys last year, as we'll get to see the end of the play right here. Knocked loose again there. There's Thompson, looks up the floor. Now Sanford does a good job of getting the ball, but Pengelly does a good job of not giving Booker the easy layup. I just wanted to say something about Mark Sanford. In my opinion, he has really raised his game. His maturity on the floor is very, very evident. this season. He's gotten better in a lot of different categories, yet I still think it's in his best interest to come back next year, and he'll be a complete player.
Jamie Booker now with 6. And Washington on 11-2 run. Bob Bender is hoping that your wishes come true, my friend. 9-point lead, biggest of the ball game for the Huskies. Pengelly down low. De La Fuente, the miss. Slotemaker couldn't hold it.
What's
And it's a
happening?
turnover for Washington State.
Is the Cougars are seeing big bodies instead of going up strong with the ball. De La Fuente got the ball that time and thought that Femmerling was there when he really wasn't, so he shot the ball on the way up.
Booker off a screen. Thompson not a threat. Sanford is. Femmerling. McCullough had 4 offensive rebounds, and now Femmerling picks one up.
Carlos Daniels at 6'7" isn't big or strong enough to cut those, to just jump for the ball. He's got to get a body on the bigger Husky pivot people. So that's what he can't do.
Pengelly. That's 3 times.
Look up, Buck.
Very good. You're really sharp.
You like that? That's a big shot for Washington State. Back within 8, breaks that drought. Tell you what, Isaac Fontaine is one frustrated guy right now on both ends of the floor. Lob pass. That one a little out of the orbit. Let's see if Washington State can convert. Fontaine. The miss. Femmerling the rebound. Sanford.
4-on-1. Defense and transition absolutely non-existent for the Cougars.
10-point ball game. Isaac Fontaine is getting shots, but they're not his shots. Fontaine. That is more like a Fontaine shot. That 18-footer, not the 22-footer, but the 18-footer where he gets a guy up, is on the move. He shoots so well on the move, Dave.
Got great head and shoulder fakes.
4 points now for Fontaine. 8-point lead again. Thompson in traffic. Hey, Pengelly with a block shot, and Booker walking to the ball.
First of all, I know that the Huskies want Thompson to be more offensive-minded, but you don't try to dribble the ball and shoot it right in the guy's hand.
Jamie Booker and the Washington Huskies looking for a win, and on top. It's early, though, 21-13. Washington on top. Washington an 8-point lead. As it goes in basketball, to score you must rebound. And the rebounding advantage is at 8 as well. With Washington having their way on the boards. You know, Washington State has lost all 8 games that they've been out-rebounded in the Pac-10 Conference. They're 3-8, and in all 8 of those losses, they've been beaten on the boards. Johnson, little head fake. Looking for Slotemaker. Booker got a hand on it, and Jamie couldn't save it. Jamie's already made one commando raid into the press table.
Thank you. We'll change into our rain gear at halftime.
Chris Crosby's checked in for Washington State. Fontaine on Booker. Got him up in the air. Femmerling the rebound. Thompson.
Huskies trying to run. They feel they can get out and run.
Luton. He'll take the 3. He's got 8 now. 2 threes.
Catches it with his feet set, gets it ready, lets it fly.
11-point lead for Washington. Fontaine on Booker. Walcott off the switch. Slotemaker, Femmerling, it's a block. Richie Ballesteros making the call. Bob Bender lobbying hard. Here's a look.
Tell you, pretty good defense. I think what they say is he still moved, but he had
You
his...
can see that top official on that replay, Mark Ayat, going with the charge. But Richie Ballesteros on the baseline had the block. Cameron Johnson out, Carlos Daniel in for Washington State.
Neither team at this point shooting very well, basically about 40% for both teams. But the thing that the Huskies are getting are easier shots because they're getting the ball out and getting fast break shots.
That is not an easy shot, friends, right there. Isaac Fontaine with Booker all over him. 6 points for Fontaine. Maybe the hardest working man in show business in the Pac-10 Conference. Zone look from Washington State.
Good changeup by the Cougars.
Chris Walcott in for Washington with Femerling, Luton, Thompson, and Booker.
Actually, I think they're boxing Luton right now.
Thompson in the crowd. Shot clock down to 3. Jamie's got to unload. He's also got to draw iron. And here comes Kareem Jackson, slope maker.
Crosby's in the post. He's got to post up strong there on Luton. He's bigger and stronger. Didn't act like he really wanted the ball.
Crosby, a pretty good shooter. Daniel. Nice tip by Crosby to keep it alive, but Femerling has the rebound. 9-point Washington lead. Femerling.
Well, I tell you what, Huskies like to see that. He has the ability to shoot the ball to 17 feet, but Patrick Femerling very seldom steps out to the high post.
Washington State. Last year in this building, it was a Washington blowout. Fontaine. Femerling got it. Slipmaker picked it up. Nice pass to Daniel for the dunk. Carlos Daniel.
Well, that's what happens, you know, loose ball situation, and Femerling tried to help up the floor that time, and it cost him because Daniel slipped behind him on the baseline.
Interested to see how Washington handles this zone look right now.
Yeah, Reed, yeah.
Held ball, possession arrow to Washington State. Kareem Jackson forcing the turnover.
Big call right there.
Maybe Washington State has found the key. A little zone action. (26-17), Washington on top of Washington State. 7:16 left. I talked about the hardest working man in show business. Isaac Fontaine has to work so hard to get his points.
Well, you see Jamie Booker kind of funneling him to the middle right there. That's exactly what they do. When you got a 7-footer, funnel people to him, let him make those kinds of plays.
Washington doing the job down low. That's not a real surprise. Ike Fontaine not in the ballgame. Crosby, that would help if Crosby can heat up from the outside.
Well, and he can't shoot the three-pointer.
42%, 8th in the Pac-10 Conference.
Actually, he would much rather play in the perimeter than the post-up. But when you got a guy who's about 3 or 4 inches shorter than you, you got to take advantage of the post-up situation. 2-3 zone look now again by the Cougars.
Jan Wooten is checked in, one of the better three-point shooters for Washington.
The only guy shooting above 40% for the Huskies, he's at 50%.
Booker over the standard.
You know, Wooten
is a Washington State ball.
Wooten had taken 28 three-pointers coming in, had made 14. Booker had taken more than anybody. He had taken 65, but he only hit 21.
Washington State second in the conference in three-point shooting. You saw the numbers there. Washington at 32. This is what Jamie Booker does best.
I'm going to give accolades to Jamie Booker because he does a great job of anticipation overplaying. But you've got to be smarter if you're Kareem Johnson. You got to come down and fake the ball to the man. You just can't throw the ball blindly to the wing. If you watch the Huskies play at all, you know they're going to pressure the wings.
Johnson misses the 18-footer. Wooten with the rebound. Washington really wants to push the pace of this ball game. That's one way they feel they can get into the Washington State bench. Samford trying to pick it up. Wooten, there's a three. There you go.
Well, it was a smart move by Thompson to reverse the ball to the corner because he knew he didn't have the shot. Plus, he knows that Jan Wooten's the better of the two shooters. And I called Kareem Jackson Kareem Johnson. I apologize.
All right,
just I didn't call him Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Don't call Cameron Johnson Cameron Jackson. Cameron out high over to De La Fuente. You know, Rodrigo's parents are here from Madrid, Spain. They probably didn't like that.
He talked about a road game.
Booker, Samford.
You got to catch it with two hands, Mark, especially when you got your thumb hurt.
Jackson ran over Thompson. That's an easy call.
Well, I'm a little surprised that Pengelly isn't in the ball game, because I really believe he does a better job of taking care of the basketball, but more importantly, making good decisions.
Note pass to us from the Washington staff. Donald Watts, there's a look at Pengelly on the bench. Donald Watts sprained his left ankle, unlikely to return in the ball game. So there you have it. Washington by 11. They'll be without Watts, it looks like. Sanford, his 19-footer. Boy, he doesn't look comfortable tonight.
Not at all. Only shooting 23% from three-point range in the season coming in.
Jackson on Wooten. Sanford overplays and gets the foul.
Not a bad defensive play by Mark that time, but Carlos Daniels needs to step to the basketball. He's waiting for the ball to come to him instead of stepping to the ball, getting the ball. Get a chance to see the pass right here. See, Daniels doesn't really go for the ball. Step to the ball, get the ball, then make your move.
Crosby with a baseline drive. Can't finish, but De La Fuente can. Rodrigo De La Fuente.
You know, one thing, this is the first time to see the Cougars in person, but they've got a lot of guys about the same. You got De La Fuente, you got Crosby, you got Nate Archibald back home sick.
Femmerling is fouled. Nate Archibald.
Did I say Nate? I meant Bo.
Not Tiny, but Bo. There's Daniel. He got fouled.
If they had Nate Archibald, they may be a little better.
Well, who wouldn't? Femmerling. Boy, Daniel got a lot of ball. Femmerling will go to the line. The foul is on Steve Slotemaker, his first personal. So it wasn't Daniel who picked up the foul. Femmerling, a decent free throw shooter. I think many people are asking, when is Patrick Femmerling's game going to fill out? He shows flashes of being a guy, and that tour with the German national team really matured him.
Has very good physical skills, can run the court, very active and all that. I still think he's adjusting to how the game is played in the States rather than European ball.
Jackson in low again. Sanford, the denial defense. Thompson.
Booker was wide open in the wing, standing for the three.
Wooten, you cannot leave him wide open.
He bails Thompson out. Thompson's got to make better decisions. Get the ball to the open man. Don't leave your feet.
Slotemaker, that's an easy call as well. That's a travel. And it has been one all year long. Washington State trying to get it together. Slowed by the flu. Kevin Eastman's been behind the 8 ball all year long. Washington up big by 13. Heckhead in Seattle, not many seats left in this one. If there are, they're behind a post and way up there. Washington on top, 35-22. Rich Waltz, Dave Harshman. Glad you're with us. Washington State has not been with us, at least in the mind of Kevin Eastman. He was really hot during that timeout. McCullough the miss. Washington State can't control the rebound.
Well, Washington State, besides their physical limitations, are not playing what I would call a real smart game to this point. Only shooting 40%, but with 10 turnovers. You can't do that.
Isaac Fontaine, 6 points.
Unless you're UCLA and commit 28 turnovers and still beat Arizona.
Deion Luton's been hot. McCullough.
See, Daniel's trying to come around the side that time in front. Play behind the big guy. If he misses, at least you got a chance to rebound it.
De La Fuente, the drive. Oh, and he missed the dunk. And here comes Washington on the run. Sanford got in a little too deep, and he walked.
Mark's struggling today, maybe trying to do a few too many things. Let the game come to you.
You know, and I get the same sense. There's a look at Bob Benner. I get the same sense with Isaac Fontaine, that maybe they're both trying to do a little too much. Jackson, not a real scoring threat. Slotemaker trying to make some room, and he did. How about that? He didn't go over.
I don't even know how he got
McCullough.
the shot off, let alone the thing went in.
He
I
went
have
through
no
him.
clue.
He went through him.
That was a true field goal. Shot the ball right between Todd McCullough's upstretched arms.
And a turnover for Washington. That would go into the
you're right.
turnover. This is a weird deal here.
This is a sleeper, folks. I don't know any other way to. I mean, it's a nice way of putting it. This is a sleeper, and the Huskies are up by 13.
It is.
It's like ho-hum.
I mean, the place is full. You would expect the noise and the din to be rather substantial. Jackson going to the bucket and finishing Kareem's first bucket.
Well, that's nice if you're a Cougar. It's nice to see.
He's averaging just 3 a ball game.
Good job, Reed. Good job, Reed. Keep him here. Keep him here. Keep him here. Come here.
Jackson doing a good job that time on Thompson. See, he's quicker than Thompson. He can play containment on him and pick him when he picks the dribble up, then really try to get all over him.
Sanford, they'll call the foul on Daniel.
You know, Mark Sanford has that kind of slender, sinewy body that he can take the ball, put it on the floor, and do what I call the slide shot and not draw contact from the defense and not charge people.
Coming up at halftime here, the Pac-10 report will look at scores from this afternoon and tonight. We'll hear from both Bob Bender and Kevin Eastman about their season so far and about how they think the Pac-10 has gone. And obviously, we'll take a look at some of the pictures and the numbers from the first half. Jamie Booker will be featured prominently, I would expect, in both. And Sanford to the line now. He'll get 2. You were talking about, Mark, and next year. And many of your comments were echoed by a gentleman that's here tonight. And we'll get a shot of him later on. Bob Kloppenberg, the former assistant for the Sonics. Northwest fans know him well. He's now a scout with the Denver Nuggets. I saw him while I was doing a Big West game last weekend, and he was talking about Sanford and all the little things that he's doing this year.
Yeah.
Fontaine
Everybody knows the guy can run and the guy can score, but he's rebounded again this year. He stepped up his defensive intensity. I can't say enough good things about it.
McCullough's sort of a fish out of water with the ball that high, and Wooten will take it from him.
Kevin Eastman wanted to travel too.
Luton. No, that's a little strong. But McCullough has another offensive
There's
rebound.
Carlos Daniels again. I don't want to be on it, but Carlos Daniels is rebounding with his shoulders. His hands are clear down at his knees. You know, the reason that the arms are on the end of your shoulders and the hands there is to grab that ball when it comes off. Pretty tough to rebound with your nose.
Yeah. Daniel. And Gilly finds Slopemaker.
Nice job by Isaac Fontaine in the cross screen. One thing Isaac can do because he's so strong is go set a pick on people.
Shot clock about 8 seconds in front of the game clock. Final seconds, first half. Jamie Booker into McCullough. You can see the rotation. And there's Daniel with a nice play. And he turned it over. And that's kind of the way things have gone for Washington State.
Bailed Jan Wooten out. Wooten not seeing McDaniel there. When you've got a guy 7'1", throw the ball up at the basket. It reminds me of when Ralph Sampson was at Virginia. I used to see him play, and his own team used to do as much to frustrate him because I say, hey, 7'4", throw it up. Nobody else is going to jump up there and get it.
Washington. Shot clock was reset because Washington State had a possession briefly. So the Huskies can play for the final shot. Booker taking a look at the clock.
Little trap out there by the Cougars. Good job.
Jamie trying to go into work, and he was knocked away by Fontaine. De La Fuente. Good if it goes, and it doesn't.
Jamie Booker ends up on his keister. Bob Bender says, wasn't there a foul there?
Washington on top of Washington State. A strange trip here in the first half. We're back after this. Rich Waltz and Dave Harshman back at Heckhead. Washington on top 40-28 over Washington State. Numbers from the first half. Some alarming ones, certainly if you're at Washington State. The Cougars did not shoot the ball well. They didn't take care of the basketball as well. And Dave, I think Kevin Eastman has to be concerned. Washington State didn't get to the free throw line at all.
No, and because they were relying outside, and yet how many times did they miss? I can count 4 ones where they missed point blank and shot the ball clear over the other side. Percentage not bad, but no free throw attempts, and they're getting killed on the boards.
You know, Washington has turned it over 11 times as well. Turnovers 11 apiece, and that can't make either coach real happy right
This is interesting. Huskies starting both point guards from Thompson and Wooten.
Now remember, Donald Watts is out, sprained ankle in the first half. Jan Wooten can shoot the three. You've got to guard him.
Well, he did it the first half to the tune of 2 for 2, 3 for 3 now.
He's well over 50% on the season.
See, to me, he's not a true point guard. He's a 5'10" shooting guard.
Maybe he's found his role out there.
Well,
with Watts
that's
out.
true.
Kareem Jackson double teams, gets it back, and hits the three.
I'll tell you, that really helps the Cougars. If they can get some outside scoring, it will open them up more inside.
A little full court pressure.
Here again, I think everybody went out for halftime, had a latte, came back, and are very comfortable.
Thompson, McCullough. That's one of the reasons he came in shooting 71%.
Almost missed that one.
Fontaine and Jamie Booker from behind. Jamie Booker, the career leader in steals here at Washington. 173 coming into the ball game.
That was a great play. You want to know why? He was beaten, but he was smart enough to know that, hey, I'm not going to reach, and I'm going to try to get the ball on the way up. Exactly what he did.
He had 5 steals in the first half, did Jamie Booker. 5. Johnson, the miss. Daniel with a nice effort on the boards. Let's see if Fontaine can create a shot. He's real good in traffic.
Cougars need that. And they need Cameron Johnson to do something offensively also.
That's what Ike does well. It didn't drop for him to Fuente and McCullough on his tippy toes with the rebound. Didn't leave the floor to get it.
Huskies doing a better job right now, it looks like, isolate McCullough. There he is over the top again.
Nice lob from Booker.
Carlos Daniels says, listen, if I play behind him, he drives me underneath the basket. If I try to front him, they throw over the top. What do I do, Coach? Coach says, well, I'll tell you, because I'm going to call a 20-second timeout, and exactly what he does.
Yeah, Jackson gets there and calls the timeout. I'll tell you what, Jamie Booker's having quite a game right now. You see McCullough, who's got 14 points, getting the pass from Booker. Booker has now got 5 assists and 5 steals, and here was assist number 5.
Nice job over the top. There's Daniel. If you're going to front, you got to have backside support. Luckily, he didn't draw a foul right there. And not to rain in your parade, but at half, Jamie also had 4 turnovers. He leads in assists and turnovers this year for the Huskies. Also floor burns, hustle points, miscongeniality.
And that's,
need I say more?
That's important. It is. Monday night, 7:30, Seattle and Portland. Not the NBA, but the ABL. Right here on Fox Sports Northwest. Monday, 7:30. Hope you'll join us. Washington State down 16. I believe the biggest lead of the ball game for the Huskies. Daniel in low. A little stumble. Can't finish. Thompson the foul.
I'm looking out here at the Cougars, and I'm going, where's the spark going to come from? When you've got the ball inside, as Carlos does, he stumbles, you got to not only draw the foul, but you got to finish the play.
Well, you know, during halftime, in listening to Kevin Eastman and Bob Bender, Eastman was talking about the season and the expectations coming in. 3 players they don't have right now. The guy I think that was the spark of this team the last 3 years, Dominic Ellison, the point guard that transferred to New Mexico State. He was the spark. I mean, Fontaine's a guy that'll get you points, but he's not a fiery guy. He's just a solid ball player that really gets it done. Ellison was really the guy that made him go the last 3 years.
Plus the fact that they do not have a presence in the middle whatsoever. You're playing a 6'7" power forward in the post. Tavares Mack not with the club anymore, but yet when he was there, really wasn't focused, didn't have his head on straight where the game was concerned, and so he said, hey, I'm going to give it up.
Turnover. Jamie Booker dropped it. Now you can add that to the Booker column.
Well, you look at Jamie Booker, I asked him before the game, how's the wrist? He says, really sore. Then you look at Mark Sanford, got the wrist and the thumb heavily taped, so both those guys are hurting where you're trying to catch the basketball.
It's really the point of the season where a lot of teams are playing hurt. Fontaine with Booker on his back. Johnson going to go right at McCullough.
Great move, can't finish.
Thompson, Sanford, yes.
Now Mark had a chance the first half, but it went up and tried to do it one-handed with a bad thumb. That time flushes it with 2.
Sanford had just 3 points in that first half.
Yeah,
now with 5.
1 for 5 shooting.
16-point ball game. A little sloppy.
They're trying to get the ball. The Cougars are inside the Daniel right there, but you notice 3 white jerseys around them. You need to spread the floor, get better spacing if you're going to isolate in the post. Huskies have done that today for McCullough.
Daniel, the 18-footer, well short.
Not his shot. Not a good shot.
That a block shot, but also a foul.
I'm not going to pick on Cameron Johnson, but it's kind of amusing. It's like a pitcher who throws it and the pitch gets away from him and he looks at his hand. That time after he took the shot, he looked at his hand and wiped it off on his trunks.
Well, you get the sense that Johnson on that hook felt he had McCullough a lot closer than he really was. I think he was expecting McCullough to be breathing down his neck, and he was standing near the
kind
bucket.
of surprised.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Johnson goes out and is, like we said, on his behalf, fighting the flu. He's in a very weakened state. I'm surprised he's played as much as he has. Slopemaker back in for him.
It's a good point. Daniel now follows the miss on the free throw. The flu has kind of played havoc with Kevin Eastman and his rotation. Bo Archibald, the fine freshman out of Tempe, with the flu.
Well, not even here, back in Pullman.
So Daniel 1 of 2.
Cougars showed a little press, but I tell you, you got to do a better job than that.
Thompson will take it himself.
Lock out!
And get it back.
The one thing you teach kids, never shoot the ball short. Get the ball up on the board, you got a chance. That was high and outside.
Yeah, he wasn't going to pass it short.
That was high and outside. It looked like Randy Johnson throwing against John Crook in the All-Star game a few years ago. Just throw it over his head, scare him a little.
Fontaine working against Booker. You know, Ike isn't a guy that can bring the ball down and kind of create on his own. He's a guy that has to work for his shots, around screens, off screens, through traffic.
You got to make more screens for him.
Slopemaker. Thompson. Booker. And he's fouled. Daniel and Booker embrace under the bucket. Jamie will go to the line.
Kareem Jackson tried to take a charge at Chris Thompson at midcourt. There was no call right then. You get a chance, I think, to see it here. Right here. Here's Thompson releasing the ball. Actually, not a bad non-call. There's Jamie Booker. Good foul by Carlos Daniel. He knew he was just trying to stop him.
I think Daniel might have seen that game last night. He had both arms. He had both arms around Booker. Wasn't going to let him go anywhere. McCullough sits down, and Patrick Femmerling in for Washington.
Well, we talked about it last night. I've never been involved in that. And it's really difficult to know what to say in those situations. Other than to inform people when you know that the young man's okay.
Jackson out. Blake Pengelly in. And Jamie Booker gets one more. 6 of 6 from the line tonight. Jamie Booker having a pretty good night, as is Washington. Kevin Eastman, some concern. Washington running away with it right now. 51-34, 4 minutes into the second half. Washington on top of Washington State. Stanford Cardinal next Saturday, 2 o'clock. Fox. That's all you need to know. Those will be that will be a very large game and a very large series for Washington here at home.
Especially between Todd McCullough, Patrick Femmerling, and Tim Young. They're 3 very large young men.
We'll try to give you an update. There's your field goals this half. Washington State has come out real cold. We'll try to get you an update on that Stanford-Oregon game going on right now. Stanford, last we looked, had a 10-point lead.
Another steal for
Jamie Booker.
and he
His
punches it.
7th of the ball game.
Bob Bender did about a 4-foot high jump on that one. Do you think he likes the way Jamie Booker plays? You know, Huskies came out before that basket, 50% from the floor, 50% from three-point range, and 83% from the free throw line.
Fontaine. Isaac Fontaine, his first bucket.
You got to get in more shots.
Absolutely.
You got to get him more shots.
But you know,
that's all there is to
as
it.
we were talking about, his shots don't come from, you know, beyond the arc or
No.
him bringing the ball down and going one of them. They come with him rubbing off screens. He has to have help from other guys to get him shots because Washington is making sure that he's not getting the open looks right now.
Well, you got to let's put it this way: not only shots but touches. He's got to touch the ball every time down the floor. Because what that does, it makes Washington more aware of him. And even if he puts the ball on the floor and concentrates, as we saw in the opening, if they come to him, now he has the ability at least to kick it to the open man.
Chris Crosby back in for Washington State. Rodrigo de la Fuente sits down. No new shot clock, no reset. It's at a dozen right now. Washington with the basketball in a big lead. 17, their biggest. Femerling.
Smart play by Femerling to go under the basket and shoot the ball off the board from the other side instead of trying to dunk it and maybe getting it blocked from behind.
Fontaine going to try to create in traffic, and he walked with it.
Huskies, this may be the best job I've seen of the Huskies in help position this year of getting back and clogging up the middle and the baseline drive.
Fontaine having a few words for Jerry White. Amicable conversation. Bob Bender and Jamie Booker. 22nd timeout right now. The Huskies and the Cougars 55-36 your score right now. Obviously, if you're looking for Pac-10 stuff, you got to tune in Monday through Thursday, 7 o'clock. Just tune in and see what Tom Glasgow is wearing. It's always fun to see that. Every night, 7 o'clock, Tommy will do it on Pac-10 Tonight.
Usually it's a grin.
It is. He does a good job.
Yeah, it does.
You see lots of Cougars, you see lots of Ducks, Huskies, and Beavers.
I was going to make a comment on the on why so many travel calls on Ike Fontaine. He's a stride stopper. He's a 1-2 stopper instead of a jump stopper, which is a 2-foot stop. 2-foot jump stops, you tend to travel less.
Well, Washington State better get busy because Washington has their biggest lead in the ball game, 19 points, 55-36. Sanford the miss, and Femerling and Fontaine collided. It's out of bounds. It's a Washington State ball. Pengelly working against Jan Wooten. Cougars, good movement, and Daniel's going to throw it down. Carlos Daniel.
Well, that time he stepped to the ball and held Mark Sanford off.
Carlos, nice job by Crosby to get it in there. Daniel almost brought the clock off the backboard with that dunk. Femerling. Sanford once, Sanford twice, Fontaine. Slopemaker. Nice give to Crosby for Daniel, and Wooten on the reach with the foul.
Good ball movement this time from the Cougars. Draws, Crosby draws. There's the dish. Not a bad move by Jan Wooten. I think what happened is over the top from where Jerry White was. Anytime you come down, you can't see. Going to call the foul.
And Daniel misses the free throw. Well, Donald Watts is back, injured his ankle, turned it early in this ball game. Left and never came back, but it's good news that he has his shoes on. Well, obviously they've iced it. And an opportunity really for Bob Bender really not to have to use him.
I think it's the smartest thing. If we don't have to use him, let's not use him.
Deion Luton is checked in for Washington. Wooten, Luton, Sanford, Femerling, and Booker. This is Sanford again.
Absolutely no cutout by the Cougars. Carlos Daniel ran at the shot and extended down the floor. It was nowhere to be found on the board.
18-point lead. Daniel starting to assert himself offensively. Here come the Huskies. Booker. Nice job by Pengelly. Smart little point guard. Crosby, Fontaine, back to Crosby.
Nice job by Fontaine. You got to score 3-on-1.
16-point ball game. A lot of time left. 12:40 left in this game. Wooten in traffic. He can score this
Well,
one.
he can create. You know, I was just sitting there watching the Huskies pass the ball around the perimeter until somebody decided to take one of their defenders one-on-one.
Fontaine was fouled. Booker, I think, was a little bit gashed, and he got him with his hands out on the right side. He's been all over the place, Mr. Booker has.
Jamie has got one of those "what did I do" looks on his face.
We told you about updating this ball game. Stanford big over Oregon right now, 56-38. Washington State women, that was a lopsided one early, and it ends up a 20-point win for June Doherty and the Huskies. There goes Fontaine. And down goes Fontaine. And a technical foul on Fontaine.
Well, he wanted the foul call, but again, see, Ike's somewhat his own worst enemy is that he's in this seam between penetration and over-penetration. You're not going to get those calls on the road, maybe at home. We know there's contact. Here he is, getting to a seam right there. He initiates the contact, in my opinion, by jumping into Femmerling.
I think that was
of
kind
frustration.
I think that's a culmination of a frustrating night.
Exactly.
And maybe an illustration of a frustrating season for Isaac Fontaine. I mean, it's great to score 21 points a game, 25 a game in his last 4. He's going to set the Washington State scoring records. But you know what? Isaac Fontaine would rather have a few more W's and another shot at the NCAA tournament, as he did when he was a freshman in Kelvin Sampson's last year. Evan Eastman being very vocal in front of the Cougar bench. Luton.
Short. Crosby ran in and had a hand up that time.
20-point ball game. Femmerling, spinning, shooting. Count it.
Nice move, though, by Patrick Femmerling. Faked a drop step, came back for the jump hook in the middle.
Impressive hops, though, from Carlos Daniel. 2 points for the Huskies. Washington on top big. Nice work in the truck.
Five. Assists, turnovers, steals. I think he's more than that now. Yeah, I was just reading my last one. Who told you?
Still good. (63-41) Washington on top of Washington State. 11:48 left. You know, we talked about Jamie Booker and all the things he does, and he's kind of displaying just about every one of those things tonight.
That's the latest of his 6 steals, and he flushes it to go with his 5 assists and 14 points. And the coach in me has to tell you he also has 6 turnovers. But he makes things happen.
Yes, he does. All right. For Kevin Eastman, what went on in that timeout?
Well, it's one of those guys, we got 11:40 to play, and let's go out and play the way we know how to play. You know, there's nothing specific, you know, other than maybe saying let's run this or this to get the ball to Ike. But let's be the aggressive one out there, the aggressor, and maybe some good things will happen. We got a chance to make a run. They haven't made a run the whole game.
They have not hit consecutive baskets since the 2-minute mark back in the first half.
When you think back to those 3 or 4 easy putbacks or lay-ins inside that they missed, where would they be? There's another example right there. You've got to make that shot. You can't just be content of going to the free throw line and shooting 1 for 2 at the line. Right here, footwork, get your feet. See, Carlos didn't, when he drop step, his head is down. Your head has to be up. He had no idea where the basket was, so he goes by it instead of going up and flushing it, drawing the foul. Now he would have the 2 points in the bank already.
Daniel hits the free throw. Carlos has been to the line 7 times. Bob Bender, very important piece of the puzzle here tonight.
Carlos Daniel is the only Cougar who has attempted a free throw this season. See, there you go, 1 for 2.
21-point ball game.
Cougars have got to make a run within the next 5 minutes. They're going to have any chance to get back in this ball game.
Lob to Booker. Femmerling the tip, and Gelly the rebound. Crosby trying to create.
Tough shot.
And here they go. 4-on-1. Luton. Dion.
And Gelly, he probably looked like it was a stampeding herd coming at him that time. Because it was.
23-point lead. This is almost a repeat of last year, where Washington blew the doors off the Cougars in this building. Crosby steps inside the line, missed the 18-footer, and off to the races we go again. Thompson, Booker!
It's a track meet. I'll tell you, Kevin Eastman's really upset. He wants a timeout, bring the ball down in front of the bench, and timeout right now.
Ken Gelly will call it, and I think it'll be a full timeout because Kevin Eastman's about to unload a piece of his mind right now. Bob Bender and the Washington Huskies on top, on the run in Seattle. Well, that obviously is a Husky fan with that smile on her face. 67 to 42. And
pretty nifty sweater.
Yeah, well, after all these highlights, there's a lot to smile about if you're a Washington fan. Dion Luton. And that's about the umpteenth fast break point for Bob Bender and the Huskies.
And do you think he liked that play? Bob's a little intense.
Daniel backing in against Femmerling. Nice move by Carlos Daniel.
First real low post move against a defensive player.
He is a very good low post player, but you know, he's a power forward.
He is a power forward.
You know, I was thinking today, wouldn't it be interesting to have Carlos Daniel and Todd McCullough on the same team? And just think what they could do for each other. Because I really think Washington needs a power forward to go with McCullough. Keep him out of foul trouble, do the dirty work.
Washington State needs a postman.
Washington State needs a postman. Luton is fouled. Daniel on the arm.
Here's Luton. He can elevate. He can also shoot the three. He's trying to pack and send a message.
And Daniel, obviously, it's a pride thing here. Doesn't want any easy dunks. That's his 4th personal foul.
I've said this before, that basketball is a game of spurts, but I have not seen a spurt the whole game by the Cougars, and they've got to come on with one if they're going to have any chance. But right now, I get the feeling that the Huskies they're just having some fun out there. Luton just having fun. I'm taking the hole. I'm going to dunk it over. I don't care who's there.
I really feel for Kevin Eastman this year. This has been a difficult year. You know, coaches have to endure a lot of things, and Kevin's kind of enduring all of them in one year. Injuries, guys transferring, Dominic Ellison not getting it done in the classroom. That's a block or a charge. Flip a coin because one official had one and the other official had the other.
The official out here had the charge, I believe.
I go with the held ball, alternating possessions on that.
You know, it's really something. It's both times the younger official, who I've never seen before, has made the charge call and been overruled by the older official who's called the block.
They're going to count the basket here. Steve Slotemaker.
See, to me, you know my feeling on that. You turn your body in, you lead with the inside shoulder, you make the contact. It's got to be an offensive foul.
Femmerling gets the foul.
I mean, what Femmerling is saying, if I was Femmerling, I'd go back to the coach and say, Coach, what do I have to do? He hits me right between both of the twos on my number 22.
Washington State deserves a break.
Well,
It's not a fast food commercial, it's reality. You know, they do.
but you know, I'm one of those guys. I like to see a guy who gives his body up, who tries to play
Absolutely.
good position defense to be rewarded also.
Absolutely. Sanford. Oh, nice pass. Walcott wasn't ready.
A little too close, a little
And
too hard.
Walk trying to save it.
Mark's trying to do the right thing, but a little too hard on the passing. You know, he came out at halftime, looked at me, rolled his eyes, and I said, hey, that's why they played 20 minutes, man. Don't worry about it. He's going to be happy if the Huskies come away with the W.
Jackson.
This is the most active I've seen Trembling all year. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
But I waited for 2 years to see this.
I really think the kid has skills. I mean, I think he can be a heck of a center.
I've seen him, and I know that people have seen him in practice, and he dominates practice.
Sanford.
Tough shot, too. Mark curling off the screen, catching it.
Fontaine trying to get himself some room, and he'll get free throws instead.
Now, I'm going to say this. He deserved that call. He deserved that call with all the bumping and grinding that's gone out there today.
Well, he worked so hard. You know, many people have drawn the parallel between Fontaine and Ed Gray, the prolific scorer from Cal. But, you know, Fontaine gets it done, 22 points a game. He only takes 15 shots a game.
Doesn't take a lot of shots.
Gray is up in the 20s. I mean, Ed Gray has no conscience.
Yeah. Well, he has one, and sometimes he has what they call memory loss or selective memory. It's like selective shots. But you know, the thing is, Ed Gray probably has more athletic ability because he plays, he can runs and dunks. That's not Isaac's game. He's not a runner and a dunker. He's a guy who just works hard, very hard to be a good basketball player.
They both have a real nose, though, in traffic. They're both very good scorers in the paint. 8.5 minutes left in this one. Phone in your topics now. Dave and I will discuss the rest of the night because it looks like Washington is going to keep this one up.
I like the fact that they're looking to bounce the ball into the post, but with Tom McCullough, it's tough to throw him a bounce pass. Get the ball up in the air because he's so good at catching it high and keeping it high.
Shot clock did not reset. It's at 10 right now. McCullough.
That's what I'm talking about. Throw it high, he catches it, keeps it up there. If he doesn't do that, there's no way he gets his shot off in time. You know, the Huskies have done a great job of playing their bench. By that, I mean all the guys who generally play, which is the 3 on the bench right now.
Fontaine with a nice
Johnson
pass.
in the middle.
Johnson with the bucket.
But Femmerling, Booker, and Wooten, in addition to Donald Watts, who's injured.
That's the bright spot. You know, Sanford Mark hasn't really played a great game tonight. Not a real Sanford-type game. He's got 9 points by my account. But what has to make Bob Bender happy is the game that Deion Luton and Gene Wooten are having. That pair really has played well tonight. 3 seconds in the lane, and it's a turnover for Washington.
First 3-second call of this game. You know, it's really funny. I haven't heard very many 3-second calls or seen.
Here are your leading scorers. Booker's played very well. McCullough, and there you got Luton and Wooten at 12 and 11.
Got a chance to have 5 people in double figures. Anytime you do that, you know you feel good.
Fontaine, and Ike getting it done. 20-point ball game. That's the first time Washington State has scored consecutive buckets since the 2-minute mark in the first half. Lob pass to McCullough. He had to come down to earth to get it. And he'll go to the line and shoot. De La Fuente with the foul. Rodrigo De La Fuente. And McCullough's going to get free throws.
Yeah, the Cougars are really trapping hard on the very first as you see his parents.
That's Jose and Cookie de la Fuente, all the way
I don't
from
know that
Madrid.
you know her well enough to be calling her that.
That's her name.
Oh, okay.
All the way from Madrid, Spain. This is the first time they've been able to see their son play in college.
That's great. That's neat. I was going to say the Cougars are trapping hard on the first pass after a made basket, but then they're doing a terrible job of converting defensive transition.
McCullough had a big night the first time they played, and he's adding to those numbers as
In a very quiet way.
Not a real dominating performance, but it hasn't really needed to be tonight. 6.5 minutes left. Outside of many broadcasts, many times in a place like this, you say, well, Washington State or the visiting team has got to keep the crowd out of this ball game.
They've done that.
Yeah, they have.
The crowd kept the crowd out of the game.
Fontaine.
You know, I can't recall being at a Washington State game where it was this quiet and people were leaving. As I'm looking up at the crowd, and there's a lot of empty seats there.
Walcott down low. McCullough the miss and the follow.
I have never seen Todd McCullough miss as easy baskets as possible, but he does a great job of going right back and getting the offensive rebound.
22-point ball game. There's De La Fuente. Hey, they'll like that back in Madrid. He'll get some free throws. Washington State started this season at 7-1. Kevin Eastman's team had a pretty good preseason. Then they went and played in that tournament over in Hawaii. They lost to Georgia by 3, Michigan by 6.
Played very well.
And they played extremely well. They played extremely hard. It's been a tough season. They've had some very close losses this year.
Like you told us before the game, the Cougar Husky game in Pullman might have been the start of their downward spiral. Had they won that game, who knows?
Yeah, there's De La Fuente. He's a junior. You're right, they lost to Washington by 2. Then they lost to Cal on the road by 2 in double overtime. They lost to Arizona by 9, at Oregon by 11. They just lost the other day to Idaho by 7. Walcott trailing the play. De La Fuente with the foul. And Chris Walcott will go to the line.
You know, I like the fact that the Huskies are attacking to score. It's always been my philosophy. I hate to see teams that are content to break the press and then allow the defense to come back, as you see Mark Sanford kicking the ball to Walcott coming down the middle as a trailer. But I hate to see teams break the press and then be content to bring the ball back out. I mean, statistics prove that you have a 50% greater chance of scoring in a spread court situation than you do when the defense is set.
Walcott gets one more. So he's got a couple, and he stretches it back to a 22-point lead. Fontaine over McCullough. And here comes Washington. Wooten.
Very little resistance from the Cougars defensively.
Knocked loose. De La Fuente. Fontaine. No whistle. De La Fuente. He'll get a free throw.
With the left hand. I like this kid. Booker trying to draw the charge. There's the tip by Daniel. Rolls off the pack. That's what happens, you know, when you hang around. There's so many big bodies up there trying to get the basketball. A lot of times it rolls off the pack, and if you're lucky enough, you can pick it up and get lucky.
De La Fuente with a chance for a three-point play, and he got it. They know defense in Spain. They know it. None of that Matador stuff either. Got to take a charge.
Very good.
Fontaine with the foul. And Dehan Luton will go to the line.
Down under 20-point margin for the first time in quite some time.
Here's a look at Bob Bender. At this point last year, we talked about losing 5 of their last 7. They ended up in the NIT. No one's really talking about Washington in the NCAA tournament now. They were last year at this point, but not now.
But you know what? I think that's a plus.
I know. And remember, Washington, including this one, 5 of their last 7 at home. So 4 of their last 6 now. And their record will sit at 7-5 if they hold on to this win. Jackson with the foul. I mean, sometimes it's better to be a secret than it is to be front page news.
Well, I think this next week is real crucial for this reason. Stanford has the ability to play as well as anybody in the league. They've got big bodies coming off the bench. California, I think, I don't know if they have the second best talent, but they are so physical overall as a basketball team that they could really do some damage. So, I mean, if the Huskies, in my opinion, if they could get us at least a split, obviously you want to win your home games.
Well, I think they need a sweep.
Well, I know they need a sweep, but I'm looking at it, I'm trying to be realistic. I'm not saying they can't get a sweep, but I'm looking at it as they've got 2 extremely difficult games, even though they are home.
Yeah, Stanford and Cal come in next weekend, and it's on the road for the Arizona schools. And USC and UCLA will come to the Northwest to finish the season for both Washington and Washington State. Walcott, it's a free throw shooting exhibition here. Stay out of the lane, gentlemen. Thank you. Crosby wants the basketball. And Daniel stripped of it. 21-point Washington lead. Booker. Wooten and Luton have played well tonight. McCullough. Booker couldn't finish. McCullough can. 22 now unofficially.
It's been Wooten, Luton, and McCullough's been rootin' tootin'. You were waiting, I know, for that. I had to throw that in. Because you didn't have the guts to do it.
No, I don't. I'm a little shy about that. All right, here. You remember Mark hitting Witten? They've kind of been Jan shooting Wooten. You like that?
Yeah, now you're thinking.
Yeah. Kareem Jackson with the foul. And both coaches going to go to their bench right now. Get some playing time for some folks. Tom McCullough will sit down for Washington. Ray Giacoletti there. Eric Hughes, Jason Hamilton. Both coaches.
Both the Husky big men have really done a nice job complimenting each other this evening.
Washington State and Washington have both shot well from the line. Wooten shooting. We get one more. Junior out of Elizabeth, New Jersey.
Done a nice job.
He has, indeed. Long night for Washington State, long season for the Cougars. Washington and Bob Bender on top. .560, Washington on top of Washington State. 3.5 minutes left in this basketball game. Blake Pengelly for Washington State. Another turnover, almost a bucket. And Steve Slotemaker will go to the line. Thursday night, Pac-10 basketball. Hope you're with us. Arizona State, who actually played pretty well today against UCLA, and Oregon State. Thursday, 7 o'clock. Hoops.
Sun Devils better come to play in Corvallis.
You got that game?
You know it, babe.
Yeah, babe. Off to Corvallis for you, huh? First one up, Slowmaker getting 2, I believe. Kevin Eastman. You know, we talked to him before the ball game. He said, you know, we knew this year was going to be a tough one. Just in what transpired in the offseason with Ellison and Scott and Tavares Mack at the start of the season, and at the end of the season for that matter. But it's difficult for a guy who is as competitive and as intense as Eastman is, and who is used to success.
If you're in this business, you don't like to lose. You know, if your team plays hard, you can accept losing.
And you know what?
And I think he's going to probably be disappointed in the fact that he didn't feel there was probably the effort today that he's used to seeing out of his ball club.
And along those lines, Washington State has played hard this season. I mean, the Cougars have competed. They've lost close games. If you talk about teams in the Pac-10 who have played to their potential, Washington State would be at the top of the list, along with maybe USC.
Exactly.
Cocktail hour right now at Heck Ed. 2:40 left in this one. 85-61, Washington on top. And a timeout for the Huskies. Bob Bender wants it to be a 20-second timeout. Here's your game summary just to see if we've been paying attention all night long. Todd McCullough.
We talked about establishing him early inside. We talked about the three-pointers, not as much as they did last year, but still you shoot 5 for 11. That's pretty darn good.
Isaac Fontaine, 14.7 turnovers. He really has had to work for his points tonight.
Well, Daniel has too, and how many bunnies has Daniel missed, meaning points in the paint? If we had a chart on that, if we had some guys in the truck that were sharp, we'd have that statistic down.
Wow.
I'm just kidding, fellas. Just kidding.
85-61, Washington on top.
You know, the guys in the truck are the best. You know how I know?
No,
They told me.
You're not going to get out of that.
They told me.
Yeah.
I'm not mentioning any names.
Andrew Moritz has checked in for Washington, along with Chris Walcott. There's some guys getting some minutes who don't. There's a Dion shooting Newton. How about that?
What did I tell you about a three-pointer at the top of the key? It's a what? It's a long free throw. That's all it is.
13 for Luton. Fontaine. Isaac. Go get him, Isaac. I'd like to see Fontaine get a bunch right now.
See, a three-point shot is a leg shot. It's not a. There's nothing else to do but use more legs and more lift.
Oh, big
It's like a soccer scrum. Oh, holy cow.
And player down. Carlos Daniel and Dion Luton. I think they bumped heads as they went by.
I don't know if it was heads or if his head hit a knee. We'll get an opportunity to see it right here.
Well, he took a shot. It looked like in the chops.
Shoulder. The shoulder. Well, let's look here. You've got Carlos Daniel at 6'7". They don't list the weight. I wish I knew how big he was.
Daniel 6'7", 228. And Dion Luton at 6'4", 195. So there's your tail of the tape for that one. Here's another look. See if we can get a clear look on it. Luton, Daniel, sort of the rock'em sock'em
little side of the head
right
on the chin action.
Yeah. One more look. Yeah, right on the chin. You know, we talked about both of these schools and how they will finish up. Their schedules mirror each other because they travel to the same place and they've got the same two teams coming into town. The California schools are in next for both Washington and Washington State. Cal is here on a Thursday, Stanford on a Saturday, at Arizona State, at Arizona. I think Washington gets a break by getting Arizona State first game out of the chute on Thursday night on that road trip. And then it's UCLA and USC. So the last game for Washington, I mean, if they're on the bubble, that's pretty fascinating. It could come down to Henry Bibby and USC, Bob Bender in Washington on March 8th. Winner goes to the tournament, huh?
Well, I think one thing that's been proven, I don't think that Huskies are going to go down there in fear of playing in the Valley of the Sun. Arizona State scares me actually more than Arizona because they've been kind of up and down this year. Arizona was lucky to beat the Huskies down there last year. The Huskies dominated them inside, came away with a 2-point loss. As Arizona showed the other night against UCLA, they can be beaten at home.
88-64, 2 minutes left. Isaac Fontaine out of the ball game.
This collision, last collision with Daniel and Luton, when I saw him laying there, it reminded me of last night with Danny Sprinkle, the young man from Montana State. I'm certainly glad that, from what we know, the only apparent injury is a concussion. And I've had a few in my day, so I know how bad that hurts.
Yeah, well, put this on your refrigerator. Pin this note up. The Bears on Sunday, 4 o'clock. Next telecast for Washington State, Cal in Washington State next Sunday. You got that game as well, right?
Yes,
You're all over the place.
You know, you're a man of the people.
Who's your agent?
You are.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody will take me. I tried.
Daniel with the dunk. Carlos loud, and he whiffs a little bit after the dunk. 2 minutes left in this one.
Gross in the game, seeing his first action for the Huskies.
That's Lawrence Gross the third. Those of you scoring with us at home. 10 seconds left in this shot clock. Minute and a half left in the ball game. Fenelon, triple teams. Lost it. Pengelly with the steal. For Crosby. Nice jump hook.
Well, he knew where the basket was, as all good scorers do.
Wooten finds Walcott.
Chris Walcott can do that. He did it a couple years ago at Sammamish High School. Took his team to the state championship, or the championship game.
Redshirt freshman. 22-point Washington lead. Pengelly trying to penetrate. Nice pass to Daniel. And Carlos is going to come away with some decent numbers in this one. 40 seconds left. This one has been over a long time ago. And Walcott will go to the line. Steve Slopemaker with the foul. Carlos Daniel will sit down. Just a junior. He'll be back next year. And hopefully he'll have some help in the middle. He's in a big body. Because he's a very good.
Well, they signed a couple
forward.
guys early. One JC player, one at 6'10", one 6'10" high school player. They've got 2 more scholarships. They want to get some quickness up front, plus somebody can go help them on the board. So, you know, that's Kevin Eastman's early Christmas wish list.
And you talk about recruiting. I mean, recruiting happens during the season. I was flying in today from Salt Lake City, coming back from that game last night. And who was on the plane but Kevin Eastman, recruiting last night in Salt Lake.
Yeah, but my question is, why were you sitting in first class and he was sitting back in coach?
Hey, I was up with the Globetrotters. The Globetrotters and I were flying in.
Talk about me, you're all over the place. You're the Globetrotter.
Bob Bender and the Huskies are going to go to 14-7 and 7-5 in the conference. And keep their postseason hopes alive. I really think that had they lost this ball game, no postseason or no NCAA tournament. You know.
No, I think you're correct.
Lawrence in the crowd. Fans want him to get a shot. Wooten wants him to get a shot as well. Has a screen, lets it go. And this one is over. Not pretty, but for the Washington Huskies, a much-needed win. Jamie Booker did a lot of things tonight. Washington beats Washington State. The Huskies in a big way. A 21-point win for Bob Bender. Bring on the California schools. They'll be here next weekend. We're back after this.